Alright guys, welcome to those of you out there who like to tune in to the Harry Potter Tuesdays. It is another Harry Potter trading card game Wizarding Wars event hosted by us over at The Dark Mark. And we have got 4 players tonight and 2 newcomers. Excited to see what we have got on the menu for Classic tonight. We're going to go ahead and just jump into Game 1, Round 1, and see what we have got in store. Looks like this is Parker Jackson versus one of our new players, Jiri. Let me get the names up here. Okay. And it looks like we have got Jiri is playing a Oceans class disaster deck, and I love that both of these guys have revealed their hands to me when I've spectated. It's awesome. I love that. So we've got a Snape deck that's looking to ramp up lesson costs really high with Wand Shop. We see that we were already taking advantage of that with things like the Gringotts Vault Key. And then, oh my goodness, guys, these base set rescans look so good. This is the first time that I've noticed that I've really had a chance to look at these. Wow, these are incredible. Wow, they really just pop. They look great. Sorry, I got distracted. Wow, okay. So anyway, we see that Viri is trying to just accelerate his lessons really fast and play these big cost potions, damage spells. And it's funny because Sammy is also trying to do something similar. Wand Shop is going to be helping him out a lot as well, as he's also trying to play those down and take advantage of having multiple lessons, ramping up to those big spells, especially with Albus Dumbledore as his starting wizard, going to be reducing the cost of those spells. So Sammy takes a turn off and plays a Caught by Snape, trying to slow down his opponent a little bit, and we can see that that's going to be quite effective. Since his opponent has played out the lessons, is kind of stuck with these just high costs. I mean, you don't even want to dump this hand, right? Because it's most of your potion class disasters. But he goes, he puts one lesson into the Caught by Snape, no problem, and passes the turn there after drawing an extra card. Parker, looks like Parker is actually just drawing cards off the top of his deck. I'm surprised that he's not playing the book, because maybe he's forgetting that he has double lessons right now. That this is 2, so he can play the book and then Hagrid's Umbrella. I'm really surprised that he drew 2 cards that turn. Maybe he's missing that his opponent's Wand Shop applies to the entire field. I'm sure he'll recognize that at some point. I think Parker dug himself in a little bit of a hole here just because he's not realizing the Wand Shop. This actually really helps him get out of the bad, or not bad, but, you know, the subpar hand that he had with no lessons in it. Because he did actually play that second charm before he played Standard Book of Spells. I think he doesn't realize that he has 5. He has 5 lessons, and that's already, you know, he's basically ready to start using some of these pretty crazy spells. So anything that has, oh no, I guess you do need 4 lessons of play to use Albus. I forgot. But anything that's 6 or more reduces its cost by 2. So you got things like Obliviate, discard their whole hand. Memory Charm, discard the whole hand except for 1 card. Dobby's Help, make them draw 10 cards. So you do something like a Dobby's Help and then Obliviate, oh boy. Just a cool mono charms, and not something you see too often in mono charms deck. The cool high-end mono charms deck trying to take advantage of Albus. I actually really like the Albus Dumbledore decks. I think that doing like a double discount, you know, basically Wand Shop and Dumbledore, is a really smart way to take the most advantage of what he's doing, providing that discount on those more expensive cards. Gringotts Vault Key of our own, Parker here. And that is the third lesson, breaking out of Caught by Snape and setting us up for a very, very gross kill here. Flying car is interesting. Oh, sorry, flying car is just he's put it down so that he can do this to get rid of other adventures later, yeah. Flying cars is somebody who knows that they're going to be walking into a bunch of Caught by Snapes in Classic. I think that Veery, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that Veery here is the one who was posting in the group recently who said that they used to be very competitive, and that they were interested to see kind of where the competitive aspect of the game had gone in the evolution with all the revival stuff going on. And I thought that was really neat. I was very excited to see their take on what the powerful decks were. We're starting to see some, just good payoff strategies. Snape plus charms plus acceleration equals just big damage, high cost spells. It makes it a little bit easier to play things like Flying Car, although we are way over costed for. I mean, we've got 12 now. We can do damn near anything. I think we can actually just play any card, not just in our deck, but I was gonna say in the game, but that's not true. There's like 15 cost Transfiguration cards. But we can play anything that's meaningful. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does with all this power now that he's built his lessons up to where he wants to be. Potions class disaster makes is going to make Sammy, or sorry, not Sammy, is going to make Parker discard every card he has in play. So it's going to be a pretty tough one. It looks like we're going to go with the old Bundaman Ooze first. I love that this ooze is just like alive, like a little dude with a face. Going to make him discard the item. I'm very surprised that we didn't just use Potions class disaster to get rid of the grip hook and all the lessons. Right? Oh. No, sorry. He could have just discarded from his hand, so that wouldn't have been so bad. My fault. It's been so long since I've seen a Potions class disaster. I'll tell you, these high quality scans of base set look really, really good. Again, huge shout out to the Revival team for putting these together. Oh, and so smart. They put a little Revival mark of the card there on the bottom right. Make sure people don't go printing this stuff for sale and sneaking it around with these high quality scans. That's the nice thing about the Revival group for Harry Potter is they always they think it through that extra step, and it makes you confident that this stuff's not only going to be around for a while, but that they're going to do a good job on it. Yeah, sure enough, there's going to be the old grip hook application. Unfortunately, we're going to lose 3 of our Potions class disasters, and 2 of our vault keys. 10 cards is going to be a nice 10 damage there. From Parker, that's pretty efficient. Wow, look at this. Wow, this looks so much better. He's got like a whole handful of these beautiful high-res scans on the these base set cards. Dragonheart Wand looks great. I think that, Parker obviously is still in a little bit of a tough spot. Yeah, we grip hooked and we got the 10 damage. Oh, I just realized I'm cutting off the top of this. I love that. Okay, guys, man, this is nice. This is a guy who knows how to use untap. He's using the arrow to identify that he wants to target that with that. A+. Yeah, guys, you can like draw on the table, all this stuff. There we go. That should be a little bit better of a display, right? Sorry about that, guys. Now you can actually see the actually, I think, hold on. Here, one more change. Boom. You can see all the cards in his hand and all that jazz. The cost and such. All right, back to the game. Yeah, so Parker's in a tough spot. Yeah, the grip hook worked well, but he basically needs like another grip hook Peeves here, and it's not how he wants to be doing it, right? He wants to be pretty built up on lessons by the time he starts doing these things, where he's controlling the hand. You know, like yeah, he grip hooks him, and they still have a bunch of cards in the hand, but then he does something like Obliviate or Memory Charm and gets them down to just those 1 or 2 cards. I think that he's going to be in a really tough spot here. You know, even something like dropping Caught by Snape this turn is just treading water, and he's already down on cards. And I think that, you know, it's going to be one potions class or potions exam that just really puts the nail in this coffin. You know, you're going to go ahead and take 3 of those cards in play and get rid of them. You don't have any potions listed to stop it. Instead, oh, it looks like we're just actually going to be obliviating our opponent and discarding his entire hand. Yeah, I think you just go ahead and scoot your way onto the next game here. Game 2 in that situation, right? Parker definitely had a little bit of trouble setting up in the beginning, but I really think that if he had recognized that Wand Shop was helping him as well, he would have had 1 or 2 less dead turns, and it could have really made a bigger difference. So I'm hoping that in these upcoming matches here, that's not as much of a factor, like us being behind like that. Sorry if I'm muting every once in a while. I'm eating my dinner as this. Yeah, so I'm surprised that we're keeping this game going here. I would just move on to game 2 personally, but maybe Parker's got a plan. He's got 4 cards in deck. If he's... Yeah, there it is. It's the old... All right, game 2. Theory taking his first game in his first event with us. I was here. Remember me. All right. Let's try this again. Round 2. Game 2. Round 1, rather, but you know what. Fight. A little bit of a better start for... Oh no, sorry. He let's say a better start for Parker, because I saw what I thought was a different character. It is a Madame Pomfrey. Looks like we're gonna run the Pomfrey out first. I'm surprised we don't just run the Peeves out first. But that's fine. Yeah, that's an easy Colin Creevy slam there. So I think the tricky thing here is that you know he's not playing any of these characters, so at least you don't have like a Peeves that you have to worry about contending. I think we only saw an Argus Filch from Viri here. Jiri, sorry. Parker drawing a card to his hand, looking at his options, and they don't look so hot. Right now he's deciding between, do I play Peeves or do I use Creevy? I think you play the Peeves down. Yeah, this is fine because, you know, your opponent is kind of in a little bit of a weird spot. He can use Christmas Feast, which doesn't do anything for him. So he's actually going to use an action to draw a card, and it's just to get a 4th lesson, so he's going to play that down. And I think that was nice. It did give a little bit of time back to Parker from tempo that he was missing. And this Creevy Peeves should hopefully be able to help him maintain action for the rest of the game. But we do have to start setting up because remember, the Wand Shops affect both players. So by the time we drop our Wand Shop to try and take off, we're just going to be enabling everything that Jiri's deck can do. So I think by the time you do that, you want to either, you know, have kind of some kind of lock, like a Caught by Snape or something prepared for him, or you're going to have to just be ready to delete the hand. So we're going to use Colin Creevy, and we're going to play Charms. Finally run into our first lesson here. I think that this deck is running into a common deck building trap in Harry Potter trading card game, which is not playing enough lessons. People get really, really excited about cutting down lessons, and they tell each other like, oh, I see all these really high count lesson decks. You don't need to play that many lessons. It's like, yeah, maybe if you don't draw them, it doesn't matter. All the rest of the cards of your deck are just are in trouble. I think that you have to run a relatively high number. It also really helps things like Caught by Snape not feel so bad, because it's much harder for them to completely lock you out of being able to play anything. I think that we feel, you know, oh, Wand Shop's going to double our lessons, and these items count as lessons. But they don't really count as lessons, because you need to find a lesson first, right? So we finally got to one lesson. We use the Peeves, and we get ourselves to 2 more lessons, but we also kind of opened up our opponent. Now our opponent is sitting on 3 lessons. Ooh, our opponent is playing Pomfrey, so I take back what I said earlier. I like playing Pomfrey first over Peeves, because I don't believe we saw Peeves from Jiri last round, but if we did see a Pomfrey at some point go to discard or something like that, I 100% agree that that was the right character to play earlier. And I take it back, Parker, especially because I know you watch these later. Ooh, Parker playing a flying car himself. I do like that. People trying to have a little insurance against those strong adventure strategies, which especially are popular in Classic, because that guy right there, Caught by Snape. But we're seeing Caught by Snape be basically a non-factor in this game. It's just, again, goes to show that, yes, it is powerful from a certain angle, but there's also a lot of times where it doesn't do too much to actually prevent the opponent from winning or from enacting their game plan, especially if they're ready to play around it with something like a high lesson count, or holding lessons in their hand, or having like a flying car or Filch in play, as we see Filch down on the side of Jiri. And another Charms lesson. And now a Vault Key. Yeah, I think it's about time that we start putting the pieces together. Wand Shop is already in our hands, so we're probably going to go and look for that card that makes our opponent discard 5 or get 5 cards off the table. We want to hit him with 2 of those to get 5 cards out of the hand, and then force a bunch of the cards to come off the table, especially because there's only 3 non-character cards, so you're going to start, you know, really getting a lot of bang for your buck on 2-for-1s on the actions from the discards there. Potions Exam is really going to slap too. So we know that our turn's going to be like Wand Shop, Potions. Yeah, we got a nut. Kind of disgusting. So we're going to start spamming these Potions Exams, preventing our opponent from being able to basically keep anything on the board. Pretty powerful. Obviously, the counter to these kinds of strategies is preventing them from being able to accelerate, which he's smart. He's holding on to Wand Shop so that he can play Wand Shop and a Potions Exam in the same turn. Playing things like a Caught by Snape normally would be pretty effective. However, our opponent is sitting there, and they went ahead. They got the Filch down earlier this game. They know what's up. Argus Filch, of course, his ability is that you can use an action to discard an adventure from play. So he kind of handles the Caught by Snape problem. If you do play Caught by Snape and force them to use Filch action, he can do the Wand Shop and Potions Exam, and he kind of wants to do them both on the same turn. But at the same time, you're putting 2 actions into your opponent, just like slowing him down a little bit, and you're not actually getting any tempo off of that. So I don't think that's a good idea. It looks like we're going to get our 4th Charms card down, and now we're just going to heal. We start to be afraid of what's coming, and we want to make sure that if we're going to be discarding cards, if we use Pomfrey and we use Peeves, the discarding cards off of our side of the table, we can actually use to our advantage to get rid of these characters who have used their once per game ability, and then we can use another Peeves later. And again, I can't stress enough, Revival Team, wow, A+ on these scans of these cards. Just look at this potions exam. This looks like it was a revival card. It's a high quality scan. These are phenomenal. I really, really love these, and I look forward to these happening for all the sets, man. It's gonna be incredible. Can you imagine? We're gonna look back at the early streams of this event, and we're gonna be wondering, like, man, look at those Neanderthals playing with like 12th, 13th downloaded versions of these JPEGs, like just like so compressed and just pixelated and awful pictures of cards from like Pojo. I think some of them still have the Pojo watermark on them, like pretty wild. All right, potions exam was played. We got rid of a lesson, and just like we said, the Peeves and the Pomfrey were easy. Put them right on the chopping block. Stack them JPEGs to the ceiling, Gino says. Yeah, Gino, like, so there's been an effort from the fan-based revival team of this game to do high-quality scans of the old cards, and they just released the high-quality scans of base set. So, like, I'm talking about how, like, see these cards? These are what most of the cards, like, that we had to play with looked like. But now they look like this. Man, that looks so good. Look, like, this is another potion spell. This is a potion spell. And this is a potion spell. Oh, that looks so much better. It looks like a real card. And this too. Especially because some of the art on these is really, really neat. I also really like that they put a revival kind of watermark right above the set symbol and the collector number to kind of prevent any kind of nefarious, recreation of these cards from the high quality scans. So it's really neat of them. I'm hyper excited for all 5 sets to be scanned in that way. All right, Parker, back to you. So we had our, counterplay for potions exam to get rid of 2 of the characters that were already spent. So potions exam really only walked us back 1 charms, but we still don't have the tempo. I mean, we're looking down the wand shop that our opponent has established, and he's got 10. I really, really hope that Parker's realizing that locations affect both players by now, and that he realizes that wand shop is effective for him as well. I mean, with this 4th lesson, it turns on Dumbledore and the wand shop, so he's online right now, right? He's got 4, he's got 8, and he's reducing the cost of anything higher than 6 by 2. So that means it's time to play a memory charm, or, we're not quite at Obliviate yet, but yes, thankfully, Parker has realized that the wand shop applies to him as well, and now we are able to play memory charm. Memory charm has its cost reduced by 2 because of Albus Dumbledore, and wand shop is doubling all of the charms lessons provided. So these are 2 each. So this is 8, and that means memory charm only costs 7 because of Dumbledore, so it's easy for us to cast this. And our opponent's going to choose 1 card in their hand to keep and get rid of the rest. So it's nice that he doesn't have a vault key there. Unfortunately, he does have a potions exam, and I don't know that we did enough to really get ourselves out of this situation here. The potions exam is going to be really, really powerful. So we're going to memory charm here. I think he just keeps the potions exam. And then that's our turn for Parker. So we pass the turn to Jiri. Jiri plays potions exam, and it's going to make Parker get rid of either 3 lessons or Colin Creevy 2 lessons, and either way, that's really gross. The fact that wand shop is on Jiri's side is good for him too, because Parker would take the advantage of... No, they just have both their hands shown to me for spectator purposes. He would take the advantage of getting rid of his own wand shop in response to a potions exam. I think it's really funny that this is the 1 card in his entire hand he chose to keep, and that's also what he drew for turn. That's always how it happens, isn't it? So yeah, the potions exam comes down here, and I think this is gonna be a tough one for Parker. Yeah, he chooses to get rid of 3 lessons, and that takes him down from being able to cast you know, he had 4 doubled to 8, and he's able to cast 10 cost cards. But now Dumbledore's offline because he doesn't have 4 lessons. Now Wand Shop is doubling this, and he has 2. So he just went from being able to cast 10 mana spells to be able to cast 2 mana spells. And I think that the Potions exams, really, the problem is just that that slow start, that real unlucky, lesson-less slow start that we saw Parker have, really punished his early tempo, and he just wasn't able to keep up. I mean, we had Jerry in a place where he could just, you know, wait to do Wand Shop on his terms. Even though he's doubling his opponent's lessons, he's not super worried about it because he's kind of that far ahead. It looks like we are showing... Oh, we're healing now, I think. We're using Snape's ability to heal. That's the only thing I can imagine is happening. 7 non-healing cards from the discard pile back into the deck, and they're all the nukes, right? They're the Bowl Dry Potion, Potions Exam, all of our big 10-drop nukes, because we've got 5 times 2 plus 1, so we can cast it all. Just showing Parker, like, yeah, I'm going to put all these back in the deck. What are you going to do about it? I think Parker's best next play would normally be Caught by Snape. You know, Caught by Snape is how you buy yourself the time in this situation. But our opponent has Argus Filch down, and we just don't have any answer. Like, we have no way to get rid of his characters. We don't have any kind of removal for any of his permanents. We just have, like, hand destruction. So that is a little bit unfortunate. The Filch is kind of going to stop these Snapes from being as effective. And I think it's going to buy Jiri enough time to absolutely... Oh, never mind. Are we playing Obliviate? Oh, no, we're just sorting all this back into it. It's kind of nice that these guys remember to reveal their hand to me at the beginning of the match. I really wish I could see the cards in people's hands when we do Final Fantasy streams. Dragon Heart Wand, another dead draw basically here for Jiri. He plays the first Potions Exam and holds the second one. Doesn't see the value in only hitting one character and one lesson. Figures he'll get plenty of value off that next turn. Parker doesn't even know that that's what he's about to walk into. I mean, he's going to draw off the top of the deck. He's going to play down one of these lessons. He's going to pass. His opponent's going to draw a card off the top of his deck, hit the Potions Exam on the table, get rid of Creevy and both of these charms, and that's going to be another just a really difficult thing to come back from for Parker here. Normally, you'd be able to really lean into the Caught by Snape to buy yourself some time, you know, totally preventing your opponent from being able to do it. How does Jiri actually win the game? So Jiri's just going to be dealing, like, a poop load of damage to his opponent as he draws these cards. And he has, like, he's so far ahead now that, yeah, that he's just going to wait until he draws the damage spells. So what we just saw was we saw him use Severus Snape's once per game ability to shuffle 7 cards from his discard pile back into his deck, and he put like 6 damaging spells and 1 control card. Yeah, Jiri's got this one locked down, I think. Parker would need to get rid of this Argus Filch and then play a Caught by Snape and then start building behind that. Try and take advantage of the fact that, you know, he's this many cards up in deck and try and stall out Jiri. I just don't know. Like, right now, Parker has some time, right? I just don't think it's a lot of time. Well, they can't really loop them over and over because he already did the heal, so he can't heal any more times. It's once per game. But I mean, he's certainly gonna. Oh god, yeah. So here he plays the Dragonheart Wand, Gringotts Vault Key. He's gonna go search his deck for any card. So now he's gonna go get probably Hand Destruction from his deck. Yep, Obliviate. can't play it yet, though. I don't know why we played the Dragonheart wand. That's very strange to me. It's like, it just feels like overkill, right? Like, we could have played one of these. I guess we're holding the lessons back in case Caught by Snape happens, in case he gets out of Argus Filch. This is like holding the way to defeat the blue shell. Like, you're definitely winning already, and you're so prepared that you're prepared, like, even if they blue shell you, you can just kind of come out of there. So, like, you're so prepared to stop Caught by Snape that even if he gets rid of Filch, you're just going to solve it naturally. I don't think you needed this. I mean, we literally just, what, +6 on mana when we only needed one more? But, you know, hey, why not? We're at 16, 17 power. We can now cast absolutely every spell in the Harry Potter trading card game. And then some. I think it's interesting that both of these guys are trying to accelerate their lessons and play pretty much the same high-end cards, right? The issue is... even though Dumbledore is discounting those really expensive cards by an additional 2, we can see how having the early lessons and having consistent early lessons, you know, anybody who's ever played any game with a resource card like a land or an energy card in Pokemon, the absolute worst thing that you could do is miss that drop round 1, right? Miss a land drop, miss an energy attachment, because you can't get that back. You can't get that time back. Spending all those turns early to miss the, yeah, boy. See, so here it is, Gino. This is one of the bombs, right? Basically, he's put himself in a position where he can just cast the really expensive cards. So you can cast this Bullseye Potion. You can use an action and discard this card from play. So this is basically a 2-action card, one to play it, one to discard it. But then you do 13 damage to the opponent. And 13 damage now, he's down to 20 cards in deck. Yeah, things are starting to look really, really shaky. I mean, they already were. But, you know, you lost game 1, so you stay in it, right? I get it. Parker had some time. He had 40 cards in his deck. Unfortunately, he just, I don't think, had any path that he could take here to get out of Filch stopping the only way he has to extend the game. And if he can't extend the game or slow down his opponent or put any kind of lock on what his opponent's able to play, you know, he's just going to keep getting steamrolled. His opponent's going to be able to find the answers for everything. Yeah, it looks like we repaired Hagrid. Oh, it's what he put in damage. Yeah. So we hit him with the Titolando. That's 3 damage, and then also he makes him discard 3 cards from his hand. So he got rid of all the cards in his hand and hit him for 3 damage. Yeah, and this is a hundo P control here. The cards that get Parker out of this situation, he's just not playing, right? This is exactly what a control deck wants, right? They want to end the game with their opponent with, like, basically no cards in play. And we're so far behind. I mean, the only saving grace we have is that our opponent is doubling all of our lessons. Oh, he accidentally used the 3rd action. Yeah, he used Creevy and used Little Lesson. Win condition is natural causes. Yeah, basically. You just lock your opponent down and then you wait for him to die of old age. Looks like we hit him with another Titolando to get rid of the 3 cards in his hand and deal him another 3 damage. Reparo is going to get Bullseye Potion back, and Bullseye Potion is going to be hanging out in our hand, so we're threatening 13 damage next turn. So I think this is, yeah, Parker draws a Charms off the top of his deck, and that's not quite going to be enough. GG going to Jiri with the Control Potions and Charms control deck there. Very cool. All right, let us go ahead and switch our tables here. See what we can see at table 2. Oh, against Sniper Wolf. Alright. Let's see what's going on at table 2. Ooh, we got some new stuff. So, table 1, we had not quite a mirror match, but the strategies were certainly reflective of each other. Here, let me change the names here. We've got Sammy versus, oh, I know his name's not Elvis, so this is Elvis the Gamer, versus Michael, I believe it is. Yes, Michael E versus Sammy D. Oh. Okay. Oh, that is MGS3. Yeah. Pretty funny. All right. Are those creatures? Yeah, creatures are really, really good in Harry Potter trading card game. All right. Let's take a look at what's going on here. We have got, yeah, creatures is very strong. There's a lot of, I mean, not, I wouldn't say necessarily these creatures, but creatures is a very powerful strategy. And almost always with the starting character, but we'll go over that in just a second. So, Professor Mcgonagall versus Draco Malfoy Slytherin. Draco Malfoy Slytherin is an interesting card. When you play an item, he refunds the action for the first time each turn. So, like, let's say we play this book to give ourselves +1 lesson, we actually get the action back too. So that's really, really cool. Action economy and just action advantage is enormous in the Harry Potter trading card game. Professor Mcgonagall here, her special ability is one of the best special abilities on a starting character in the entire game, because it says once per game you may discard the adventure your opponent has played. Now, why is it so good, right? Doesn't Filch do that? Doesn't Flying Car do that? Well, yes. So Flying Car and Filch both cost 1 action, right? Filch is not a starting character. He's not a witch or wizard. So Filch can't be a starting character. He's only an additional character, which means he costs 2 actions to play. You can't play Filch or Flying Car if they already have an adventure that's locking you down. So Mcgonagall, being a starting character, can't be interacted with. So she hangs out on the side, and she's like one get-out-of-jail-free card for your adventure. And she also provides a transfiguration lesson. And of course, in the Harry Potter trading card game, you only need 1 card of the matching color in your lesson pool in order to be able to play cards of that type. So having Mcgonagall as your starting character means that you can play transfiguration cards in your deck without having to play any transfiguration lessons at all. So the idea here is Draco is trying to play these items, like a deck full of items, right? These items like Beetle Eyes, you combine Beetle Eyes with Eel Eyes, and it searches for the Bulge Eye potion that we saw before, like that big 10 damage potion. Moonseed Poison here is another one that is 3 damage on the way in and 8 damage on the way out. Sorry, 6 damage on the way out. These books are both just, they provide a lesson, but you can use an action to discard them and draw 3 if you want. And then Sickle, this is a big one. The money cards are very, very good. Galleon, Sickle, and Nut all have the same effect, where at the beginning of your turn, before your turn, you discard the card from play and you gain additional actions. You gain 1 additional action for a Nut, you gain 2 additional actions for a Sickle, and you gain 3 additional actions for a Galleon. So Sammy's playing Bewitched Snowballs. This is just a mid-range little spell here. 3 damage to your opponent or to a creature of your choice, and then draw a card. It's just going to be 3 to the face. The face is the place, and drawing a card off the top of the deck. If Sammy has another one of those burn type spells, it's gamed, but I think it might be gamed anyway. You can see Sammy's strategy here is he's using charm spells like Blue Wig and Bewitched Snowballs to do damage, right? 4 damage to the opponent, 3 damage to the opponent or a creature. Meanwhile, the creatures are chipping away. So Forest Troll here, another one of those lovely base set scans, looking great. Forest Troll is doing 2 damage at the beginning of every turn, and River Troll is dealing 4 damage at the beginning of every turn. So Sammy starts all of his turns with 6 damage, 10% of his opponent's health, right to the discard pile, and then he's hitting them with a couple of these mid-range burn spells, and it, really just chips them down. And we can see in the deck difference here, it's very effective. That's the nice thing about creatures; they just are kind of that constant, repetitive damage. It looks like that game is going to go ahead and be called there. I think Sammy won that one, and it looks like that might just be the end of round 1. So let's go ahead and just get the results in, and we'll get the next round paired and started for you guys in just a second. Alrighty then, we are here ready for round 2, and we are going to be tuning into Jiri versus Sammy. So Gino, you're going to get a chance to see some more of those creature strategies in action, and this is actually going to be a perfect aggro versus control yin-yang here, as we watch the creatures are going to try to get in under the big high-cost spells, the things that are going to take some time to set up, and we are going to get a little snapshot of what a fast deck versus one of those combo type control type things. I say combo, that's not a combo deck at all. It's literally just a control deck. How many folks are in this tournament? This is a little round robin. We got 4 people playing in our locals this week. Getting 4 people to play Harry Potter TCG online is kind of a miracle by itself. Normally, my team supplies half the entrance for this tournament. Like the one that we're kind of hosting, so it's like, they're not really hosting it, but still it feels like our thumbs on the scale, so to speak. I'm really excited that this week we were able to fire an event with 4 players who weren't from our team, so the Dark Mark, we can just do some commentary, and if our boys want to sit out a week, they can take a week off and the tournament will still fire. It's really, really cool. We're growing the community in a 20-year-old dead game, so it's very cool. Wasn't sure how likely seeing a repeat player is. Yeah, so we're round robining. So we're probably going to get a good look at all of these decks, especially if we're able to catch kind of like the back half of another match. Both of those were 2-0, so we didn't really get to watch a game 3 from the second table. But we're going to get a chance now to see the creatures deck against the control deck. To get a little more creatures spotlight, and that means that the one that we would need to see a little more of would be the Draco items deck after that. Draco items is an interesting deck to watch. Very fun. Like Draco items is a deck that has a lot of like triggers, like, oh, I'm gonna just benefit off this thing, triggers that thing, and I get my action back, and then that's gonna do that. So it's just like, it's like playing really efficiently with discounts. I know that's your kind of thing. Although the real playing efficiently with discounts deck is the character deck, which is, I still think it's still my absolute favorite, and I still think it's the BDIF in Classic, but maybe not. We'll see. The only decks that beat it though are decks that are built to cause trouble for it. But the thing is, those decks can be built in a way that they're just good in general, and they're not like only countering that deck. It's just that the way that they are built happens to do a very good job countering it. And you would think like, oh, well, that just means that there's a counter for it, kind of. But like nobody has ever played decks really with those starting characters before that deck was a problem. So the Shikadi Infinite Loop deck. I mean, I'm gonna say which one, but I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, he posts anytime he finds a new Infinite Loop, he posts them. But yeah, the Riku thing and all that. Yeah, very cool. Most recent Infinite Loop video. Yeah. All right, these games are going and we're late to spectate. Let's take a peek. All right, so we've got in this one, Sammy is on top. Oh, it looks like we already used one of my favorite adventures. I'll show you in a second, Gino. And on the bottom here is going to be Jerry. Sorry, Jerry and Michael. I'm still learning their names. Okay, it's Jerry's first week playing with us. All right, Sammy up top here has played Hagrid Needs Help. One of my favorite adventures. This adventure is basically like the aggro player just windmill slams this on turn 1. And Hagrid Needs Help says, your opponent gets 1 fewer action on each of their turns, even the turn that they solve Hagrid Needs Help. And in order to solve Hagrid Needs Help, they have to just take 8 damage off the top of their deck. So you basically start off the game by saying, I'm going to actually just pass my first turn to you, right? Because you spend both actions on Hagrid Needs Help. You just play Hagrid Needs Help and you pass. And then they have, okay, well, the first thing they're going to do is solve it, right? Because they don't want to spend any more turns losing an action than that, right? -1 action is bad enough. So they solve Hagrid Needs Help. Of course you're going to help Hagrid. You take 8 damage, and your reward is, if you want, you can draw 3 cards. Well, what's the problem there, right? Is to the aggro deck, that's like having dealt 11 damage. They don't care if you draw 3 cards. Like, go ahead, please draw cards. So you start off with the all Hagrid Needs Help, and they get to, like, they solve Hagrid Needs Help, and then they play 1 lesson, and that's like their turn. And now it's your turn, and you just go, okay, Hagrid Needs Help. If you have another one. But no, instead, it looks like we did Hagrid Needs Help opener. He played Charms. Then on our next turn, we went Lesson. Then he went Lesson. Now we've got Wand Shop. And we played the Vault Key, I think. So we searched our deck for... I didn't even see what card we got to our hand. So that's what he did there. Now, Sammy, on the other hand, Sammy is playing Borrowed Wand. Actually, really like... you never see Borrowed Wand see play, but he did just kind of bump himself up +1 on the lessons, and you saw it be very effective there on picking on Neville. So Sammy's playing picking on Neville here is a nice piece of removal. You choose one of your opponent's cards, and they can either... it either basically discards it, or they can choose to discard 2 other cards to prevent that one from being discarded. So picking on Neville is just a really cool type of design, right? Because... oh, I'm going to make you make a choice. And then I can make it so that the choice you make is just bad for you either way. Or, like, I get a lot of information out of it. Or, like, you picking on Neville something, they discard 2 things to protect it, and then bam, here comes another picking on Neville from your hand, right? So here we picking on Neville the wand after it came down, and sure enough, we chose to discard the wand. So we've used picking on Neville's now to remove Wand Shop and the Dragonheart wand. And so this is what was missing from round 1, is that Sammy actually is... has some counterplay. He has removal options, and he is removing the acceleration cards on Jiri's side of the table. Now Sammy has slammed down his River Troll. River Trolls cost additionally is that he gets rid of one of your Magical Creatures lessons from play. But he's a 4/3, and he's just sitting here going burr, dealing 4 damage at the beginning of every turn. Another Gringotts Vault Key. Yeah, we're definitely getting to a point here where Jiri is like, okay, if he's gonna start removing my stuff as I play it, I have to put the things in my hand together, just like he did in his last game where he played he played Wand Shop and Potions Class Disaster, or Potions Exam. Goodness, I'm sorry, so many Potions cards. Potions Exam on the same turn to make it as effective as possible, which I really liked. Here, we saw him use the Gringotts Vault Key. I missed what he put into his hand. But he doesn't have to show his opponent what he puts into his hand, so we don't necessarily know unless they reveal the hand to us. Sammy is going to go ahead and hit with a Bewitched Snowballs. So it looks like Sammy had 4 damage from the creature, 3 damage from the snowball. The nice thing about Bewitched Snowballs is you draw a card also after you do that. And it looks like we just slapped another Magical Creatures lesson into play. Just basically threatening to play another River Troll or another, troll type creature next turn. I think that Sammy he was actually joking about this in the group, and I'm only now realizing that I think he is playing Troll Tribal. He was joking about how there's only 3 different troll cards in the game and that Troll Tribal needs support. And now looking at this deck, I'm like 99% sure that the only creatures that he's playing are the 3 trolls. Which is pretty funny. So we have Troll Tribal being played here by Sammy. Hidalando, oh, the Tickling spell. 3 damage to your opponent or to a creature of your choice, and then 3 cards in the hand get discarded, and that is going to be a really, really efficient 2-for-1. I like how... Oh, thank you so much, Jiri, for revealing your hand. So I really, really like that we were able to use Gringotts to set up a turn where we comboed Wand Shop again. So we played Wand Shop without giving him a chance to remove it, right? And then went right into Titolando to get rid of his whole hand and to kill one of the River Trolls in play. Wow, Sammy top decks another River Troll and is able to play it and get rid of his Magical Creature. Potions Exam, though, is going to go ahead and get rid of 2 lessons in the Borrowed Wand, I think. And now we're in trouble. Now we've hit that wall where, and this is the problem with, so I called this an aggro deck, right? But in reality, it actually is much more of a mid-range deck. So creatures is typically very aggro and very low to the ground. But because we're playing these high-cost creatures like River Troll that are sacrificing lessons when they come in, we're playing all of these look at all these 4-cost removal, all these 5-cost burn spells. We're actually playing just so many mid-range spells that we're hoping to win this game. And I don't mean this in a mean way, but pretty fairly, right? Oh, I'm just going to hit you a little tit, a little tat, some mid-range spells here and there. Oh my goodness, he is. That's the 3rd troll. He is playing Troll Tribal, so we have to give him a little credit that he's literally just trolling. Literally trolling. But of course, I think there's even better ways, more effective ways to do that. Obviously, the way that this deck is built is to try and accelerate our lessons so that we can actually ever afford a Mountain Troll. Goodness, Mountain Troll is just a 4/4 for 8. Yikes. It is very funny though. I love Troll Tribal here. But we've given our opponent all the time in the world. We had those mid-range cards, and while we were stopping him from setting up, we were successfully delaying him, but we needed to be taking enough advantage of that. Things like Hagrid Needs Help is a good opener, but we needed another, like a mid-game Hagrid Needs Help would have been nice. 8 is the same cost for 8 damage, or sorry, for 4 damage a turn, or discard all but 1 card in your hand. No, 9 cost is discard all but 1 card in your hand. And also that Mountain Troll or whatever that was is like absolute garbage. Like I've literally never even seen this card played in a deck. He is only playing this because he is making a point in playing Troll Tribal, right? Like again, this is also a base set rare, and base set in general, the power level is like way lower. Memory Charm is a card from a much later set, right? So what I will say is there's a 7 cost, so like what a real high-end creature looks like, right? There's a 7 cost creature that removes 2 of your creature lessons when you play it, deals 6 damage on entry, and then it's a 6/4 or 6/5, I want to say. and the dragons. So, but most of the high-end creatures, or any creatures that have good like stats, require you to discard paramagical creature lessons from play to play them as a kind of additional cost. So, yeah, we are able to again basically scrap the hand and use this here. Yeah, so what normally stops these kinds of strategies here is how you saw Sammy doing stun removal on the wand shops and things like that. What you do is you really want to be using Dobby's disappearance over picking on Neville. I mean, he's playing both, right? But Dobby's gives you the action back and just bounces the permanent to their hand. So you would like to see something from Sammy like, oh, bounce the wand shot back to his hand and then play Hagrid Needs Help. So that his opponent loses that action, is going to take another 8 damage. So it's a 2-for-1 where you're slowing him down and you're also continuing that aggro pressure. We needed more than one Hagrid Needs Help. We needed low-cost creatures, which this deck just doesn't have because they're all these trolls. The 2-cost troll is the best one we've got. It's a 2/3 that makes us, again, discard one of those lessons when we play it. Because we only had 3 creatures, we filled the deck with like a lot of other just like generic stuff to try and make the 3 creatures happen. This is clearly a troll dot deck. So I guess we will have to wait to see Draco versus Snape to see something a little bit more competitive. Although I think that the troll deck, creatures in general are still creatures. You know, they do that damage at the beginning of every turn. They are still gonna get you if you leave them there too long. Cards like Hagrid Needs Help, Dobby's Disappearance, Picking on Neville are highly competitive cards, and will certainly, you know, get you there. Like a Hagrid Needs Help with 2 trolls behind it. I mean, let's look at even in this game. Yeah, sure, Jerry got control of the board, but he got down to 15 cards before that happened. Now, there's not going to be anything Sammy has that's going to hit him for a quick sneaky 15, but you know, as these guys scoop and go to the next game. We could pop over to the other table if you want to see, if you want to kind of get more eyes on all 4 players. We did spend a lot of time on this this control deck here, so maybe it'd be interesting to see the other side. But I'll give the troll deck just a little more time in the sun here. Both players, this is a gentleman's game. We are starting off with lesson, pass, lesson, pass. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Oh, scholarly game. Ah, yes, a 3rd lesson, and then the old forest troll comes down and gets rid of one of those lessons to play. So forest troll is going to start swinging his club for 2 damage. What you really want to see here is just one more setup turn, and then we want to start popping off. So you want another charm, and then you want one shot Valky if you're Jiri. I mean, that's like perfect world type scenario. Wow! So Jiri drew for turn, and then he used an action to draw a card, then played the lesson. And if you spend any time watching any of these streams or listening to me, drawing a card with an action is basically the equivalent of like, well, I have literally nothing to play. So that's pretty tough. So what does Sammy do with that extra time? He plays down 2 more lessons himself, gets up to 5, and now Sammy is ready to start dobbying and picking on Neveling the stuff that Jiri plays. He's going to have to kind of keep an eye on the combos. Because Jiri is smart enough to sculpt the hand, so he's putting together these 1-2 punches where he doesn't let his opponents remove the... or he doesn't give them the opportunity to remove the wand shop before he hits them with a big disruptive spell. Goodness, and the forest troll, the forest troll hits him. and throws a vault key into the garbage, and the vault key is exactly the top deck that Jiri wants to see. I mean, he might already have one in his hand, I'm just saying. So Sammy, he uses Dobby's Disappearance. Dobby's Disappearance, he bounces one of the lessons back. He's trying to slow down Jiri's access to those 5 drops, but it doesn't matter because he's Wand Shop first. And he goes Wand Shop right into Tittlando, and Tittlando is going to hit the troll for 3 and discard those last 3 cards from his hand. Really just the fact that, and again, we have to give credit to this. So Jiri might be Jiri's first time playing with us, but it is not Jiri's first rodeo. You could tell that whether or not Harry Potter trading card game is something they play often, they know card games, right? They are absolutely limiting the amount of counterplay they are giving their opponent access to. Wow, that is not a bad top deck at all for Sammy. Oh, but it wasn't what he top decked. Sorry, he drew a lesson for turn, played the lesson, and then used an action to draw a card. Okay, why didn't he just windmill slam? Hagrid needs help. Yeah, potions exam. Yikes. So that's gonna go ahead and just get rid of 3 of his lessons, and now that's it. Now Sammy's in a pretty rough spot. This is the trouble with they're not actually like doing anything to stop these cards or just to change what he can do with his actions. So he's kind of just able to build to whatever he wants. And when both of these guys are able to build to whatever they want, the guy who's playing the control deck is going to have a much better time. Hagrid needs help comes down finally. I mean, you just auto solve that right now. Take the 8 damage. It's actually a 4-cost double all mana, but it doubles all mana for both players. But yeah, and it only doubles blue from books. But yeah. The high-end blue cards are, they're okay. Flying car, yeah, a lot of these people, a lot of extra adventure hate, a lot of extra caught by Snape hate. Taking on Neville, going for a real value play here. What happened to my beautiful lo-fi tunes? Picking on Neville, he's going for the value play. I imagine you're picking Wand Shop, and so 2 other things get sacrificed. You probably sacrifice, what do you think, 2 charms? Oh no, you let the Wand Shop go? You just have another Wand Shop in your hand. That's not so. You say that, but you're not looking at, like, balanced things playing against each other, you know what I mean? You're watching, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not even like a Martial Arts BFA, because this isn't even, like, the most popular Tier 1 strategy, but it's just, like, yeah, it's a little interesting. There's a like disgusting power spike with the 5th set, because the 5th set was very clearly supposed to be the start of a new block, and then they just didn't make any more sets. So cards like Dobby's Disappearance, this is the best card in the entire game, right? Just because this card is so dumb. Like, this card shouldn't be written. I don't know why this card gives you back your action. Yeah, like Sammy is first concerned with putting, like, the copies of all the trolls in his deck, and after that, he's just like, I guess I'll put some generically good cards and fill out the list, right? He's mostly just like, the proof of concept is here, right? I'm looking at Forest Troll, Mountain Troll, and River Troll, all 3 of which don't see any play. Free bounce seems like a lot of tempo. Yeah, that's the thing that's gross about this card. Is definitely the best card, because getting your action back is disgusting, and it can get rid of any permanent, like, at all, besides the starting character, obviously. But yeah, so looping this card is a really easy way to, like, pseudo get more than 2 actions, right? Oh, excuse me. Fire Sped, hello, welcome. The river troll. Look at him. He's just sitting in the river, enjoying himself, having a little mud bath. Mana isn't actually spent, correct. You just have as much mana as you have books, yes. My favorite deck never needs more than 4 mana. Because it only plays 2 spells, and this is one of them. Hey. That bounce spell just lets you play another spell of any cost. I mean, it lets you do anything. It's literally just it's just like a trade this card in your hand for putting one of their things back in their hand at no action. Potions, class disaster. This is the old, your opponent discards their entire board. Normally, if they get to Potions Class Disaster, it's like, yeah, you won. You won before you played Potions Class Disaster. You know what I mean? There's like a 3-card kill, or, you know, it's like a 2-card kill combo, but it's a 3-card guaranteed kill combo at 9 cost in Potions. So 12 is usually, people aren't going too much further. It works really nicely in this deck where we're able to double the blue mana to kind of like accelerate even faster to that 12 on Potions. But yeah, I mean, Gino, that's why we say it's the best card in the game. Stop, he's already dead. Yeah, I'm not really sure what they were thinking giving you the action back. But the power level of Dobby's Disappearance is actually like the same as other rares. Well, not all the other rares, but a lot of other rares in Chamber of Secrets. Like Dobby's Disappearance is the grossest form of transfiguration removal, right? But there's also like the grossest form of potions damage, and the grossest form of forced draw, and the grossest form of card advantage, and the grossest form of action reduction. Bouncing stuff is just good, yeah. Like when we started playing this game, people tried to tell us that that card wasn't that great because it bounced stuff, and the other card, picking on Neville, was actually better because it discards stuff. And we were like, first of all, we were like, why not both? But second of all, it's like, nah, man, the fact that I can like use this card twice, then I can use a card that lets me get 2 cards from my discard pile and trade them for cards in my hand. So I trade them for the free card, and then I bounce 2 more of the things off their board. And yeah, I end up using Dobby's Disappearance like 6 times in one turn, and I haven't even used my actions yet. Yeah, it's free. Exactly. It's free real estate. Free house for you, Jim. It's free. Yeah, it's free. It's absolutely nuts. So in a lot of games, card advantage is the most important kind of advantage, right? Yeah, there's board advantage and the tempo and all that stuff, but card advantage usually can get you to any of those other things, right? In the Harry Potter trading card game, action advantage is way more important than card advantage. And it's also important because you can use an action to draw a card, right? So at the very base, like your worst case scenario, you can exchange an action for a card, but you can't exchange cards for actions as like a basic part of the rules, right? There are cards that let you exchange cards for actions, and those cards are insane. They're very, very good. And card advantage becomes good because those cards let you convert card advantage into action advantage. The action advantage is king. And yeah, free spells are never good. It's never a smart idea. Yeah. In the revival, so another thing, Gino, more context for you. This is classic format, which is the original 5 sets, the way that Wizards released them, with no changes. And oh, I didn't realize there was a black bar on the side of the screen. I'll fix that. And the other format we play is revival format, which has basically like a fan curated ban list, and it has a new fan made set added in. And the fan curated ban list basically stops you from being able to play that Dobby's Disappearance card. There's only one. It's restricted to one. If you're limited to 2 actions a turn, you're not going to run out of cards. Yeah, I mean, you sure can run out of cards, though, right? Again, like I said, my deck that's my favorite deck, you're drawing like 7 cards, you know, somewhere between like 4 and 7 cards at the start of your turn. Instead of 1. For no actions. But that's another story. We banned that card. Oh, yeah, you certainly are going to run out of cards in hand. We're watching these guys run out of cards in hand left and right. Right? I mean, you play 2 cards from your hand, and you only draw 1 a turn. So, that's natural attrition. Right? You're going to need some kind of way to get card advantage. And this is a problem a lot of people run into early on in playing Harry Potter, is they get themselves into situations very fast where they have very low amounts of cards in hand and they're using actions to draw cards, and they start to think that like, oh, well, using actions to draw cards is just like a normal part of the game. But using actions to draw cards is like the worst thing you could possibly use an action for, because it means that you like are lacking something and you're trying to find it. It's not even a guarantee, right? It's like, I'm lacking a card to play. I'm lacking options. So you'd rather just have, you know, cards that you play to make sure you always have a good number of cards in your hand so that you always have options. You always have stuff to play. Yeah, you can deck yourself, but just like Magic or anything like that, right? You use that, you can use your own life as a resource, and as long as you don't lose, it doesn't matter how many cards you draw. Seems like a lot of good cards, draw cards, or discard from your opponent. You're actually seeing you're seeing a lot of people use actions to draw cards. There's actually way more people raw dog using actions to draw cards than they are using cards to draw cards. The Bewitched Snowballs and Blue Wig are the only spells that were drawing cards. The Colin Creevy that we saw down here, he was down like last game. Colin Creevy lets you draw 3 cards for an action, but both you and your opponent draw 3 cards for an action. The thing is, there's just not that many cards that like just draw you cards. Poor K what? Sorry, yeah, sometimes it's hard. I miss like what part of what I was saying you were replying to. Alright, we'll move on to the other table these guys have brought up. Why use actions to draw cards if you can play spells that cantrip? Well, again, like I said, there are very, very few spells that cantrip. And they're not in every color. Like, there's very few spells that draw you cards. And a lot of times something that does like 2 damage or 3 damage and draws you a card is like not even worth the action. Since you're limited to actions, you want to use them for like bigger things. A lot of the best draw, almost all the best draw engines are on characters. So it's like Peeves, Colin Creevy, and Ginny Weasley. And those characters, they cost 2 actions for you to play. And then you get to take advantage of them. There are spells that search. No, there's like one. So there's a couple like items that search for very specific things. Usually, almost always, if it's an item that searches for something, it's like you have to play the item for an action, and then you have to use an action to get rid of the item to search, or to search your deck for a thing. So even those cards don't see a whole lot of play. Gringotts Vault Key is the one that you're seeing tonight, which actually Gringotts Vault Key is like on the fence. It's one that you're seeing C play in these decks very well. It's working very well. But in a lot of like VTJ, Dobby's Help, a lot of like combo decks, like blue-green combo decks, they don't really play it. They don't have too much time for it. A little bit like slower, you know. Because we're not really seeing. So Caught by Snape is another card that we were talking about a little bit earlier in the rounds that really dictates a lot of the classic environment. And Caught by Snape is an adventure that that basically locks your opponent from being able to do anything except play lessons. And I think we only saw one person really playing it, and everybody's like, they're playing flying cards and stuff, but flying cards is flying car costs 8, so it's like normally you can't get to paying for anything that costs 8 before you work your way through 1 or 2 Caught by Snapes. But because people aren't really playing it as much, it lets these like control decks just totally run unchecked. Like, he has all the time in the world to set up, to build whatever he wants to build, and then, you know, once he gets to that point, it's just very easy to control the game. Drawing a lot of cards is difficult unless you set up an engine. Yeah, for sure. Usually it requires like 2 or 3 steps, you know what I mean? It's not like play a card that draws cards. There's like one spell I can think of that's like a spell that is meant to draw you cards, called Endless Sandwiches. I'm sure there's more, but that's like the best one. You draw until you have 7 cards in your hand. Ah, there's Caught by Snape. Yeah, this is where Caught by Snape shines. Okay, so our opponent here, Caught by Snape has just been played for 2 actions, and our opponent now cannot use actions to play any cards except for lesson cards. Now, our opponent does have a couple outs here. The way they solve it is by playing 3 lesson cards. But by using 3 actions to play lesson cards. It's very specific. So we can use our actions to activate our items. Thankfully, we're going to get 2 extra actions at the beginning of this turn from the sickle. So we're going to go into our turn, we're going to draw a card for turn, and now we're going to have 4 actions, and we're going to need to play 3 lessons to get out of Caught by Snape. We can crack one of our books. That's exactly what we did. So earlier we played this book for an action, and it provides us a lesson, and then later we can use another action to discard this from play, losing the lesson, but then we get to draw 3 cards. And this is like a good draw effect, right? And it's still like it's like a slow thing, because this is at minimum 2 actions to draw 3 cards, but the nice thing is that along the way it provides you that potions lesson. So we drew those extra 3, and now we're really looking for lessons in our hand. We've got 1. Did we break both the books? Oh, no, we only had 1 book. Oh no, yeah. So again, see here, we played 1 lesson, so we put a 1 on him here. Yeah, you pay in installments for sure. But then we had to use actions to draw cards, so that's a dead giveaway that we don't have lessons in our hand. So the Caught by Snape lock is in effect now, right? So now what, Elvis, sorry, I have the names wrong. I didn't even change the names on the parchment. I'm sorry, guys. That's my fault. Michael up top and Parker on the bottom. So Michael just played 1 potion and used 2 actions to draw cards to try and get out of Caught by Snape. That's not good, because we actually created, like, we popped that item at the beginning of our turn to get 4 actions, and Caught by Snape still locked out our entire turn, and we only paid for 1 of the 3 lessons. Now Parker uses Gringotts Valky, and he puts a card into his hand. It might just be another Caught by Snape, right? At this point, we're going to keep the lock hard on our opponent. And the grip hook here is how we're going to make a payoff for that, right? So grip hook is once per game, you can make your opponent discard their hand, and then they draw as many cards as they discarded in that way. So we paid 2 actions to play grip hook, right, earlier on, and he's just going to chill here, and then eventually we're going to use him, and it doesn't cost an action to use him. It just costs 2 actions to play him. And we're going to make our opponent discard their hand and draw a new hand. But we're also, like, putting him in a position where, okay, he's forced to, like, draw through his deck faster, looking for lessons. He just played his second lesson down, so we skipped 2 of his turns, right? And this is the card I was talking about. Caught by Snape can really slow them down. So this is the kind of thing you need to stop your opponent from being able to just play all these, like, you know, whatever he wants every turn. Or not necessarily Caught by Snape. There are other adventures, but you need to, you know, be doing something to disrupt their game plan. If both players just sit down and play a solitaire strategy against each other, you know, the player with more quote-unquote, you know, strong cards or just like more cohesive strategies is probably gonna take it. How much does an adventure cost? Adventures and characters cost 2, so it costs his entire turn to play Caught by Snape. But it's taken 4 actions minimum. It's taken more than that, right? From his opponent. Yeah, and this deck can't do it, but there's a deck out there that has the character's ability lets you replace an existing adventure with another adventure. So you play Caught by Snape, and they spend their 2 actions. You know, everybody gets 2 actions a turn, so they spend their 2 actions on Lesson Pass, and then you're like, all right, cool, I'll replace my Caught by Snape with a new Caught by Snape. And yeah, you know, they could technically just do that again, but the chances that they just have that many lessons just chilling in their hand are pretty low, right? It's especially gross if you see your opponent, like, spend turn 1, 2 lessons, turn 2, 2 lessons, they're down to, like, 3 cards in their hand, you just go, Caught by Snape. Detention, baby. I like the flavor on that, like, right when you're about to do the cool thing, Caught by Snape is like, nope, I'm gonna make you do homework. It's the perfect flavor. But a very, very, very annoying and extremely powerful card. The double time walk. Yeah, guess you weren't studying. Yeah, exactly, yeah. How many lessons do you have in your hand? Oh, is it none? Then you're screwed, right? He's making sure that you've got some homework prepared to show him. So we do see Parker's deck down here. Yeah, Parker is taking more advantage of some of those good cards. So you said, are there tutor cards? There's very, very few, but we have some of them here. Hagrid's Umbrella, you can take this card and use an action and discard this card from play to search your deck and take a location and show it to your opponent. So this helps you get Wand Shop. But again, think about that, right? You have to get to 3 first. You have to use an action to play this, and you use another action to discard this to search for the card. So that's a common theme with tutor cards, is they almost always make you, like, play them and then discard themselves to go get whatever it is you're searching for. Who has extra lessons after you beat Caught by Snape? Ah, exactly. Yes. So that is why the card is so good, right? The best adventures have 2 qualities, right, that are very important. For an adventure to be one of the best adventures, it needs to have some kind of inherent protection against removal cards, right? So the way that this is worded, right, your opponent can't use actions to play any cards except lesson cards. So they have a Dobby's Disappearance in their hand. Dobby's Disappearance can bounce any permanent in play to the hand, but it can't be cast when Caught by Snape is on the table. So there are many, many adventures, and a lot of them are susceptible to things like Picking on Neville or Dobby's Disappearance or Flying Motorbike, and those adventures usually get answered by those kinds of things. Sometimes they're worth it, but a lot of times, you know, you want to play an adventure that has some kind of inherent protection, so that forces your opponent to use their actions to do something specific. And you want to play an adventure where the reward for them is either like something that you're taking advantage of or just sucks, right? So, like Hagrid needs help, right? They take 8 damage, and the reward is they can draw 3 cards. Now that's not bad for them, drawing 3 cards. However, for the aggro player who's playing Hagrid needs help, they've dealt 3 extra damage, right? So it's kind of like a win-win for them as well. Reparo, this is basically borderline a tutor card, right? Using the discard pile as an extension of your hand is a great strategy in any game. Reparo is put a non-healing card from your discard pile into your hand. And Reparo, you can go Reparo into the Vault Key to do like a 2-action way to get anything out of the deck if you wanted to. A little kind of a workaround. Yeah, so we are over here. We are at 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 lessons. We can play up to 10 cost spells. It could be caught by Snape again. Yeah, so what you really want to do here, though, since you have the grip hook and he has this big hand, is since you can cast a 10 cost spell, you might want to grip hook his hand and then memory charm him. That could be really good. Caught by Snape could be strong too, but with the amount of cards he has in his hand, yeah, we are going to at least time walk him 1 turn, but he might just pay to get out of it. And then when he pays to get out of it, let's say +3 from where he is now, brings him to 10, so he'll be able to play the Bulge Eye potions right from hand without having to combo them out of the Beetle Eyes cards. So that won't be so bad for him either. That's another popular strategy in Classic when you're building decks and you know that things like Caught by Snape are really strong control elements of Classic format. You want to make sure that you have big payoff cards for if you're forced to solve another Caught by Snape. So let's say my deck really likes 6, right? 6 mana is where I want to be, or 6 power, sorry, is where I want to be. All my best cards cost 6, and when I get to 6, I'm kind of done, right? Well, what happens if they play a Caught by Snape and I have to play 3 more lessons? It's silly for me to not have any kind of 9 cost payoffs in my deck. There's no way I can benefit from them forcing me to build, because Caught by Snape ideally doesn't actually skip your turn, although it does when they catch you with your pants down. But if you're prepared for Caught by Snape, you know, you've got lessons in hand, or you have some way on the table to kind of do more actions other than just playing cards. You can use that time. They're just forcing you back into a build phase, right? So if you build through the next Caught by Snape, you've now, okay, so now that I went into the next build phase, what's my payoff? So in a lot of the creature decks, I mentioned that 7 cost dragon. That's because a lot of the creature decks, they want to get to 4. Like, a lot of the best creatures cost 3 and 4. And so if they're at 4 and they get locked by Caught by Snape, what are they going to do when they come out of that? They want to play a 7 cost dragon and a 6 cost Hedwig, because the dragon's going to take some of your lessons away. So those are the Hedwig lets you just get any card back from your discard pile as a creature when it comes into play, and then the dragons deal a lot of damage, like a really powerful high-end card that puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. So it kind of makes up for that turn that you took off when they Caught by Snape you too. So I think that a lot of people look at Caught by Snape as like, oh, they play Caught by Snape and now I can't play, and that's it. It's there's nothing I can do, right? There's actually a lot you can do about the way that you play, the way that you build your decks. You know, things like a lot of players would tell you that the best turn 1 is like lesson, and then turn 2 lesson. I jokingly call it a gentleman's game or a scholar's game when we saw people do that earlier. But actually, if you have any kind of additional characters to play, like a Pomfrey or a Grip Hook or Peeves, they're the best turn 1 play, because the last thing you want to do is go lesson, and then your opponent plays Caught by Snape, and now you're totally SOL. You know that Caught by Snape's in the format. You just played all the lessons out of your hand. They've got you right where they want you, and they're going to be able to start playing cards while you're back in a build phase, right? So I think that players should look at Caught by Snape as A, something that could always happen to them, and B, look at it that way. I encourage them to look at it like they're being put back into a build phase. And it's like, what are you going to do? Plan around when you come out of this build phase. Don't focus so much on how Caught by Snape is preventing you from doing the next thing you want to do. Like, it's time to change your plan, right? Make sure that your deck has cards at those thresholds, even just a few of them, so that you have like some kind of payoff if you're forced to go back into the lesson building part of the game. Meanwhile, as I'm saying all of that stuff, Michael is just popping off up top here. Remember, Draco gives him that action refund when he plays a card. So just like how we said, Dobby's disappearance is very gross when it's free, right? Draco has some of those interactions as well. As a starting character, he can create some of those really cool moments. Like, there are items that, there's one item, it's called Self-Stirring Cauldron. In order to play it, you get rid of 2 of your potions lessons, and it creates 4 potions lessons. So it's like one of these that generates like 1 lesson, right? So when you play it, let's say we played it here, we'd get rid of 2 of our potions lessons, we'd play it, and then we would go up to 6, and we get an action back. Like, that's what it says on the card, is you get the action back for playing it. So you like +2 on mana, and you get the action back. And what's cool about that is if you have Draco down, you actually, it's like -1 action. So you go +2 mana and +1 action. Very cool. Gotta go. Hope the rest of the tournament runs smoothly. Hey, Gino, thanks for stopping by. I always like you know what? When there's somebody in the chat who isn't familiar with the game, it really helps me. Like, it guides me on what to talk about and to really break this stuff down. And it just makes these tournaments and this commentary better for the people who watch it who, you know, aren't already familiar with it. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much for helping me have that angle, somebody to bounce off of. So let's see what we've got. Michael is going to go ahead and start the turn here. He pops the nut. Giggity. So he gets the extra action at the beginning of his turn. So he's got a Caught by Snape that he's staring down, but he's going into a 3-action turn. And he does have some stuff he can do on the table. The Beetle Eyes is nice. You can go ahead and discard. Oh no, you need the Eel Eyes first. Never mind. So you can go ahead and discard it to get the bigger card. So he is going to crack the Standard Book of Spells to draw 3 more cards immediately, which I like. You know, just if you're going to have to draw cards searching for lessons, you might as well spend 1 action to draw 3 cards and try and reduce the number of turns that Caught by Snape skips you. And you don't want to go too crazy because you're looking at the grip hook. You know he's going to do it. So we play 1 lesson here. I would really like to see a second one, and I don't think we have it, or we'd be playing it a little bit. And unfortunately, when you can't use actions to play items, you can't take advantage of Draco Malfoy's wizard ability. That is how it is. Oh man, I typed these guys' names in, but I didn't even over. There you go. I know Parker watches these, so Parker's going to be the one who's like, he switched to my game, but he didn't change my names. Now he's left my name blank up on the screen the whole time. My bad. I had it. I have like 2 sources, the one that I'm editing and the one that's live, and I edited the names, but I didn't ship it. My fault, guys. All right, looks like that game has wrapped up as well, and we're going into game 3. It is 1-1 here, and you love to see it. These guys have got just about 7 minutes to figure out their last game, but we're not too picky here. We'll give them some time. Jerry taking his game 2-0 against Sammy, though. Jerry is coming in and making a big splash right away. Love to see it. All right, game 3. We're starting off with 1 lesson, and what is that? Is this the here? Lesson pass? Oh man, played a lesson and drew a card with an action. Interesting. The response from Parker is just lesson. He wants to get himself up to that. He wants to get himself up to the wand shop. He wants to get himself up to the game plan getting started, you know, turn on that Dumbledore ability, get himself where he wants to be. We've got grip hook coming down nice and early, and look at that hand size. Man, we are digging deep. And again, like I said earlier, I think a lot of Harry Potter trading card game players, especially when they're newer to building these decks, they get into this trap where they look at things like these books, right? And they go, hey, well, this book provides a lesson. I only need 2 lessons in play to play it, so I can cut a lot of the lessons out of my deck, and this basically counts as a lesson slot, right? So you might say, oh, I'm going to put 4 magical drafts and potions and 4 of the charms book, Standard Book of Spells in my deck, and that's 8 potion slots I can cut, but it's not quite 1-to-1 like that. You still need to find the lessons first to play it. And let's just, look at the difference here. We're a lesson up on him. Yeah, we're kind of even, but we were able to get that extra investment. This is a full 2 actions ahead, and we went second. So I think that this is pretty indicative. Ooh, the self-stirring cauldron. This is calling the opponent's deck list bluff, basically. Playing a self-stirring this brazenly off of only 2 potions is basically like, yeah, I know you have no item removal in your whole deck. Because if we did something like bounce this to hand or remove this item, we walk him back so many lessons, like 4 lessons, 2 actions, and all that stuff. But this is that combo that we were talking about earlier, where when you play the self-stirring cauldron with Draco out, it does bump, and you get the +1 action off of the self-stirring cauldron, actually. Guys, you're gonna have to forgive me for 1 second. I'm just gonna have to step away for 2 minutes. Got somebody knocking at my door here. So you just have to hang out with the beautiful sounds of lo-fi and watch these guys. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. It was one of them, those sleazy basilisk oil salesmen. Gotta watch out for them. All right. Oh boy, what do we got? What did I miss? We've got books. We've got books for days. It's like a library on Michael's side of the table. Looks like we chewed our way through a couple more Caught by Snapes. And we have got a self-stirring 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're ready to pop off. Looks like we're just playing Moon Seeds, and we're ready to start playing, what do you call them? The Bulge Eye Potions. Well, Entrancing Enchantments, very nice. Don't see this card too often. Gets to search for a character. It looks like we're just going to play Pomfrey and use her for our turn. Gonna go ahead and just heal 12 cards back into the deck. Such good tunes. Oh, thank you. Thank you if you're still hanging around, Viking Lady. I wasn't here when you commented. I'm glad the tunes were good, though, because I sure wasn't talking. Illegibilus. Cool one. So we used the Pomfrey, we healed 12 back into the deck, pass the turn. Oh wow, this is actually it's time, isn't it? It's time, so I believe it's the old tie for these guys here, since it is one end. I'm gonna go ahead and just pop over to the switching or pairing the next round screen here, so that I can let these guys choose if they wanted to do whatever they want to do. That one ends up being a tie between the Draco items deck and the Dumbledore like cast big spells deck. So I saw that they didn't report here, but I'm gonna go ahead and just put them as a tie. I was waiting to see if they asked about end of match, and in case I needed to remind, I forgot to mention it in the player meeting, but hopefully the players who have been here previous weeks remember, if both of them had won a game in the match and they were playing game 3, then it is a tie for them. But they can always, scoop to each other. That's why I try to give them a chance. Although in Final Fantasy we don't have ties, and so it's not a tie, it's a double loss. And there are prizes, so I guess in this people would probably just be happy to take a tie. There's nothing wrong with that. A tie is indicative of a very close match, right? Really good games. Alright guys, that means it is our last round of the night. We've got, I believe it is going to be Troll Tribal versus Albus Dumbledore. And it is going to be Draco items versus the old Snape Potions Control deck. Charming Snape, we'll call it. Who knows? That's a funny name though. I like that, Charming Snape. Alright. So charming, guys. Alright, we've got the pairings up. Players are jumping into the tables, and we are ready for round 3. I think we gotta point out Jiri showing up and just absolutely steamrolling it this week. This Snape deck has been very dominant in these games. We're seeing that it has been difficult for people to come back once it gets control of the board. Boy, howdy, does it have control. I think that we might see players counter this strategy if Jiri comes in 2 weeks. We might see some more low to the ground creature strategies, which I feel like might give it a run for its money. But as it is right now, the one creature strategy is very mid-rangey, and it gives the Snape deck a lot of time to kind of set things up. So. I notice everybody is still hanging out in the common room, even though I put up the old pairings. Go ahead and give them the 5-minute extendo on the round start time in case they are going to restroom. Go ahead with the 9:05, 9:55. Give them a little time. But yeah, like I was saying, I think that we might see a few more creature strategies next week. Seems to be a lot of Charms decks this week, which is cool. I do like how we kind of seem to go through these themes, right? We had like all Quidditch the one week, now it's all Charms. Like see the all Potions decks, and we are seeing diversification of strategies, which is also really cool. We haven't really seen too many of these like hand and board disruption style decks. And we had certainly not done any like the spider stuff, so very, very interesting. Oh, there's somebody who's like streaming in the common room, like while we're streaming. That's kind of funny. All right, enough talking. Let's get this on the road. I was just giving a shout out to Troll Tribal, and he was saying that the troll struggle is very real. Okay, we are here for the final round. We have got our top player right now, Jiri, playing against Michael. Michael and Jiri are both new this week, and we are really excited to have these guys here. Very, very cool. Love when there's new blood. All right, so Michael and Jiri both kind of doing the Spider-Man point at each other as we get charms lessons down on both sides of the table, building, and this is another opponent who, Jiri, looking at how his wand shop is affecting his opponents as well, really making sure that he's playing that stuff in the right order. I mean, I've loved the sequencing that I've been seeing from him. Just really knows what this deck's about, knows the lines, and is making good decisions. Which is really cool to see from someone whose first event with us tonight is, the debut event. Normally, players are a little trying to find their sea legs, as it were, the first event or two with us. We're off to the races immediately with both of these players. We see Michael did also very comfortably up to 4 lessons, but has a book, so he gets that extra action. Looks like he uses it to draw a card off the top of his deck, and man, these players are looking pretty even. We do have that +1 action that got +1 card for Michael, but of course, Jiri is +1 lesson because of Snape. And yeah, we are going to just... The slugfest has begun. Jiri drops a Charms lesson into play, and then it's going to be Bunda Manus to get rid of that item and deal 2 damage to the opponent as well. Not a whole lot of damage, but we're already walking our opponent back on the things he'll be able to afford next turn. Sammy joking, he says he did the thing, the trolls deck, and the thing is screwing him over, but he's not mad about it. Trolls for life. And I said, yeah, you get to say that you're literally trolling people. So we appreciated trolls deck. All right, charms card to play again. Very fair, very slow building back and forth so far. You see that Jiri is worried about, not worried, but making sure that we sequence the wand shot properly, seeing that it's going to accelerate our opponent as well, making sure that we kind of hold on. That's exactly it, Sammy. You were doing research, right? You were researching what the Troll Tribal deck needed so that you could, use that design space to make Troll Tribal a real thing. This was just purely academic. And it turns out the answer is things that don't cost 8 or, 5. That poor 8 cost troll is the most base set rare monster I've ever seen in my life. The dude costs 8 and he's just a 4/4, like a vanilla 4/4. We had Gino in here earlier, and Gino was having a very difficult time assessing like the power level of cards when he was looking at like that base set monster and then like Chamber of Secrets rares. It's for research and design for future revival, 100% academic, and not a 2-decade-long lust for trolls. That's right. Most certainly not. Yeah, Mountain Troll was like, hello, fellow rares. It's like, no, not quite. Yeah, a lot of the good base set cards that are good because they are just like it's like a fundamental mechanic that the game is better off for having, like Snape or Draco Malfoy, right? Like they just do such unique. Oh, I heal and provide. You know, I'm one of the professors. All the professors are great. Draco, he's like, oh, if you play items, I'm gonna give you that that better. Oh, he's not from base set. Wow, Draco, sorry, is from obviously the item set. Diagon Alley. But you see like Steel Claw, right? Steel Claw is just like, it's good because it's unique. If there was another card that did what Steel Claw did, it would probably do it better if it came out later, right? And then we'd be playing that instead. But Steel Claw was I think they realized, oh man, if we just make better creatures, Steel Claw just gets better and better. So we don't need to make any other Transfiguration cards that deal with creature damage. Steel Claw is also one of those cool cards because it has it basically has absolutely no, there's never a moment. Does it even have flavor text? There's never a moment in the game or book or anything where they talk about a rabbit with steel claws, is there? I have to go to asio.cards now to look up Steel Claw before I just talk out of my ass. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't have flavor text. I'm pretty sure it's it is literally just invented for the Harry Potter trading card game. By Tim Hildebrandt. No flavor text, no, not in the book, not in anything at all, just a card. But it's like a fun magical card. You're like, oh, Transfiguration. Yeah, somebody would probably turn something's claws into metal or knives or something like that, you know? It's one of those cool little insights into the Harry Potter universe, because as a kid I just assume that everything in the card game's canon, right? I mean, it is canon. So Steel Claw, I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know they did that. It turns out maybe they don't. Flying Car seeing a bit of play this week. We actually have a lot of people accelerating Charms decks this week. In fact, I think 3 people here. Everybody but Sammy. Oh no, Sammy's playing Charms too. It's just everybody playing Charms. It's the Snape Charms combo deck. It's Malfoy Charms and stuff. You're playing Charms, Transfiguration, and Paramagical Creatures. Yeah, I think literally Wand Shop is just taking everybody to the moon this week. Everybody straight to the moon. Poor Sammy's out here playing 5-cost creatures that make him sacrifice 2 of his lessons, and everybody else is doubling their mana. This is the price we pay for greatness, Sammy. For Troll Tribal. Greatness has a cost. I feel kind of bad that this guy's streaming in the middle of our event. Or I would be, watching his stuff. Alright, anyway, Wand Shop is down. So now we've seen this spot. We've seen this position. This is exactly where Jiri wants to be. He's got his opponent down to no cards in hand. He's removing all the cards from the table. What we would have really liked to see to counter Jiri's deck this week, an aggressive creatures deck could have done it. Any of those low to the ground decks or any of the hard control lock decks. So Fred and George or Ron Weasley could have done a lot about this. It's interesting because normally you see one or the other, right? Normally there are character decks or there are strong creature Steel Claw decks. but we don't really see either of those things running around this week. It's like a lot of Charms ramp decks. That's right, Albus Dumbledore was the 4th deck. So you have 3 of the different decks are literally ramping with Wand Shop, and I'm pretty sure even Sammy doesn't mind the Wand Shop because he's trying to pay for this 8-cost troll. Trolls will rule the world after they destroy my lessons, yeah. Well, you look at, like, the different creatures that take lessons when they come into play, and, it's like Giant Tarantula and Welsh Green Dragon are the ones that are, like, the only ones that are really worth it, and that's because Giant Tarantula is so low to the ground. Like, 2 damage for 1 lesson is incredible, right? And a lot of those decks, you start with, like, Mcgonagall. So it's like, you play a lesson, and you play the spider turn 1. So starting on turn 1 is 2 damage a turn. And that makes it really good. And then after that, it's like, it's not worth discarding lessons again until you get to the 7 cost. It discards 2. That deals 6 damage when it enters the field, and is threatening 6 damage every turn. And it's like, everything in between there is just really, it's really tough to justify discarding your Care Magical Creatures lessons for it, because it's either not aggressive early enough to be worth getting rid of your lessons, or it's not a big enough impact to be worth walking yourself back 2 actions. I wonder why they felt like creatures always had to like attack their own lessons. Because it ends up being that any of the creatures that don't have an enter the battlefield effect, like the Welsh Green Dragon, if I play it and I get rid of 2 of my lessons, think about a card like Self-Stirring Cauldron, right? Self-Stirring Cauldron is really, really strong card, but it's very fair because if you get rid of the Self-Stirring Cauldron, you not only walk them back 4 mana, but you also get rid of, like, oh, they played these 2 actions to play their lessons and the action to play the item. So it's like, you really, really... Oh, speak of the devil, right? If we bounce the Self-Stirring Cauldron right now, like, he basically loses the game. You know what I mean? That kind of counterplay for this is very high. So it's very similar for Welsh Green Dragon, right? Welsh Green Dragon, if it didn't do anything when it came in the field, if a card doesn't do something when it enters the field, like Self-Stirring automatically gives you, 2 more lessons and gives you the action back. And the 2 more lessons is obviously the highlight there, right? A lot of times you'll see people Self-Stirring into VTJ that same turn. The Welsh Green Dragon, it's not giving you lessons, it's not giving you... Most creatures don't give you immediate damage, but the Welsh Green Dragon does, and that's why it's worth discarding those 2 lessons for it. But even he is like, going from 7 to 5 is a world of a difference, because there's so many powerful 6-drop, like Unicorn, Hedwig, etc. It's a very interesting angle. I just think that 90% of the creatures that make you discard lessons to play them aren't worth like 3 or 4 actions, right? And that's essentially what it is when it's asking you to discard a lesson to play it. Is it's like, oh, I'm worth that action too. Oh, yeah, yep, that is going to be game 2. I think that's, in general this week, without anybody, really having these aggressive decks or anything that's going to put pressure on Jiri. Jiri is able to just kind of put his feet up, take some time, build up his big lesson stockpile, and then when he gets to the top, I mean, we're all racing to the top, and his top end is much, much more dangerous. His top end, first of all, once he gets the first 1 or 2 off, it completely stops the opponent from being able to get to their own top end, right? So he disrupts their strategy, and then he has all the time in the world to do his strategy. And I think that we're seeing that be very effective. I also just love that Jiri is playing like a competitive deck that's in a different vein than some of the decks that we've seen here in the last few weeks. And that there's just like another person who, that both Michael and Jiri have come to play with us for the first time this week, and they basically, quote unquote, they get it. They're here, they're having a good time. You always hate when somebody comes to play in the tournament for the first time, they just get super beat up, right? Or if they're like brand new to the hobby or to the game. So you love seeing these guys come out here. They know what they're doing. They seem like they're having a great time slinging cardboard. And I hope that, they have a really positive introduction to the community, getting to play with some of our great community members this week. Sammy and Parker, also 2 wonderful individuals to get introduced to if you're going to have to play against 2 people from the community for the first time. Oh man, you made the troll deck. Kaladin giving you the thumbs up there, Sammy. Yeah, not even a transfiguration necessarily, but yeah. I guess transfiguration are most of the ones that are targeted removal, but like Quidditch can get you there too. Some of the Quidditch cards, some like characters can do it. Just the fact that there's a lot of permanent removal in the game, like not just creature, like you know, creature removal. Like especially for you, Sammy, you're playing these friggin' these creatures that have like 3 health. And of all the weeks to play Troll Tribal, you've got your opponents playing like Titolando, like discard 3 cards to deal 3 damage, dude. That's like when they hit you with that, it's like a 6-for-1. They get rid of your entire hand. They kill the troll. The troll took 2 of your lessons out with it. Dude, it's just like good game. It's way too much. It's like, yeah, there's 100 things that can walk, you know, get a creature off the field. And so I think that if it doesn't have like an ETB, which there's maybe there's like 2, or there may be 2 creatures that have enter the battlefield effects. We're not counting unicorn because it's like a passive effect that turns on when it comes in. But I mean like real like the ones that discard lessons. I mean like Hedwig obviously has an enter effect. Some of the owls have enter effects. But things that when it comes into play, you pay this extra cost and then it has an effect. Isn't that just Fang and Welsh Green Dragon? There might be other cards. Maybe I'm missing some of the real high-end ones. Oh, he did the other thing. Oh, somebody. I said that too. I said that you were probably really hyped on these wand shops, man. These guys are all helping you pay for the 8 costs, man. So you've got 2 mountain trolls on the table. That's kind of scary. All right, maybe now it's feeling a little troll tribey. Is Parker shaking in his boots? How many trolls necessitate a tribe? Like do you need? I think 2 trolls is starting to feel kind of, you know, kind of tribey to me. That's okay, Sammy. When I stepped in for round 1 of the revival event the other week, my entire goal was to play a black bat and deal 5 damage on entry. Like that was my whole plan, was to play Hagrid, to play Into the Forbidden Forest, and to play a black bat and deal 5 damage when it entered the field. That was my goal. And as long as I did that, I won, even though I lost really bad. That was all I wanted to do that week. That was my, let's just see if I can do the thing. Julie, do the thing. One shop really getting a lot of action this week. Oh, look at this. The common room is kind of popping up. I'm glad that our event is done because it's kind of weird for us to like go back into this room while this guy's like in the middle of doing this thing. I really try not to like overlap stuff. You know, people should like wait until other people are done. But you know, whatever. You know, splitting our tiny little community for views is kind of silly. All right, drop the Dragon Heart Wand, man. These scans just so good. Alright, another lesson down. Yeah, so we're up to what? 4, 8, 11, 12. And now we're going to play the flying car. The flying car is nice insurance, especially in Classic. I just think my thing with the flying car is by the time you can play the flying car, you're already not in trouble. Like, Caught by Snape is not going to be a problem, right? You're far enough ahead to play an 8-cost item that doesn't do anything when you play it, just in case. Like, you're probably doing okay. But, I mean, it's a nice piece of insurance, right? If you're playing 8-cost things against a Caught by Snape deck, like, you're already way further than they want you to be. Although he does get there pretty fast with the wand shop, so I guess you could say, you know, if your opponent slips on 3 turns, you just can they kind of lock it out. But a flying car also has the added benefit of not costing 2 like Filch does, and I know that he's playing the Filch as well. Just covering his bases, knowing that the adventures are a big problem. Nothing wrong with that. Ooh, the sickle comes down. We're investing in next turn. Next turn is going to be pretty big for Michael. So Michael, what he wants to do, he's got his 4, 5, 6, 7. He's getting close to his big output for damage, but he really is looking for 8 to get to Moonseed Poison and then 10 for the Bullseye combo. He needs to find a couple more Charms lessons. It's really killing him that he's not able to take more advantage of his opponent's wand shop. Is this an Ollivanders? It sure is. So we play Ollivanders to get an item from our discard pile and put it in our hand. Self-Stirring Cauldron, I imagine, right? Because Self-Stirring Cauldron gives us an action and then +1 action. Oh no, Broken Wand. Is Broken Wand what we put back in our hand? Do we have a Self-Stirring Cauldron in there? Maybe we're worried about, I mean, when he's playing the thing that makes us choose an item and discard it, he was able to discard our Self-Stirring Cauldron and just really crippled us earlier. We might be afraid to put it back into play, but we need that kind of acceleration in order to keep up, I think. I think you have to kind of put him in a position where he has to have it. He has to be able to remove it again. And you can defend with the Beetle Eyes and the book. But, you know, we'll play out the Broken Wand. We're just trying to build up our lessons, I suppose. Now it's our turn. Our turn begins. We crack the money. We get +2 actions. We've got 4 actions, and we have got a ton of cards in our hand. And I really hope we have something to do here. Is this 12 cards in our hand? Yes, it is 12 cards. Oh, sorry, 11 maybe, right? Yeah. Moonseed Poison. Alright, at least we got to the 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, Moonseed Poison. 3 damage on the way in and 6 on the way out if we so desire. It's a little bit rough to spend 2 actions on 9 damage, but, you know, there are worse rates to deal damage at. And another Vault Key, man. We were really, really good at taking those Vault Keys and tossing them right into the damage pile, but that's fine because the Vault Key is very powerful. And we do not want our opponent to have access to that. That's for sure. Sorry, guys. I'm all yawns today. Christmas Feast. Go ahead and get ourselves 4 items. I imagine Moonseed Poison is going to be one of them. I sure hope that the Self-Stirring Cauldron's another, and then maybe Bullseye. It'd be really sick to see Moonseed with action 1, action 2 becomes Self-Stirring Cauldron, which gives us back the action we spent on it, and another action. So we play that, and we go to 2 actions again. Not quite. Yeah, so self-straying puts us back to 2 actions. Then we can actually play Bullseye, pop Bullseye for 13, which I like. It looks like we're going for the sickle play instead. We're just going to hope that we have enough time to do a better burn spell next turn. And the sickle, I think... What do we moved Christmas Feast. We played Christmas Feast, played the sickle. We have one more action. You'd like to see one more lesson. That's fine, Mood Seed. Just play it and don't break it yet. You have that extra 6 on the back end. Yeah, so 3 damage to him. Pass the turn. Now it's on Fury. Oh my god, Sammy, you have 3 mountain trolls out on the table. Perfect. We got the Reparo for the vault key. Yeah, because we keep throwing all the vault keys in the discard pile. So we get the vault key. Put it in our hand, and we played our own Bullseye here. So we're just going to start throwing haymakers at each other, as it were. Are we showing him? Oh, no, this is... So we played Reparo, got a vault key back in our hand, and now we're using Snape. We're healing 7. It's going to be 2 more vault keys. Reparo, Bullseye, Potions, Exam. It's all going to go right back into the deck. Alright, it's time to do as much damage as we can, Michael. We've got him on the back foot. We got to start doing it before he cracks his own Bullseye. Or his whole thing. So it looks like step 1, Moonseed Poison to deal 6 damage to our opponent. I hope step 2 is Bullseye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, we're still not there. Still not there! Even with the self-stirring, we're not there. Christmas Feast is going to get 4 item cards back into the hand. But we used 1 action to discard this and 1 action for Christmas Feast. That's our whole turn. It's just dealing 6 damage to our opponent. That's a big fat yikes. It's a little bit short of what we really want to be doing this turn. Kick it back over to our opponent, and they're just going to blast us for 13 at least. And another sickle down here for Elvis. So wait, how did he get the... Oh, because he popped a sickle at the beginning of his turn. I was like, how did he get this extra action? That's right, he's playing a sickle literally every turn. Alright, so sickle comes down, and then with our action number 4, the refund here, Moonseed Poisons for another 3 off the top to our opponent. Really, like, we're digging for our own Bullseye, or for the other half of the Beetle Eyes combo. You figure you play Eli's, you get to look at his hand. Then you discard. Is it an action? Yes. So then you use an action to discard this and the other one. and then you use an action for Bullseye. So it's like 3 actions for 13 damage. But I mean, you put him in an awkward spot. I mean, 13 plus the damage from the Moon Seeds. That's about all you need. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna go get Obliviate because we're trying to stop him from being able to use his hand for much of anything. I think in that case, next turn, once the sickle pops, you use your first action to crack the book and just get action in your hand. Because you want to just be able to make sure you can cast the Moon Seed. So if you crack the book, you're still at 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he Obliviates, you lose the hand, add the Bullseye in his hand. Oh, and this Silver Unicorn. I should have played that guy, huh? Oh, he just put it back. Ugh. In his hand, that's right. Oh, he's got Fumos for the board wipe here. Oh, look at Fumos, another gorgeous base set scan, man. These base set scans are looking so nice. So nice. Alright, so we pass the turn after that. The sickle cracks. We get rid of the Moon Seed poison to deal 6 damage. Crack the book. We play a nut, okay. Neutral. We still have 1 action. Like, I can't get over how good this card looks. Yes, they do. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, dude, they are gorgeous. Plus, the Fumos artwork is just amazing, yes. Arthur, man, we haven't seen Arthur come down yet. It makes sense with the high, you know, we're doing the poison and the Bullseye thing, and you're also getting that extra action, so you can like play an item and then play Arthur. But boy, this guy is a little late to the party, huh? Maybe not though. I mean, that Arthur is, God, we top decked that Arthur. That's nuts. That's insane. If this is like maybe like a one of, right? Because we haven't even seen it. That we top decked him and we got to slam him down, and now we go, all right, what's our opponent have? I mean, you got to basically play back-to-back potions exams to make us discard 5 of our end play items, because that'll get us, that'll clear off the whole damn table. With no cards in hand, it's very difficult to mitigate Potions Exam here, so Potions Exam ×2 would wipe our board. But if we had Potions Exam ×2, I got a feeling we would be windmill slamming them on the table, so we're probably going to see a Gringotts or something, and then a single Potions Exam, in which case we'll be able to keep Arthur and the 5 cost, is it? Beetleize? Yeah. This game looking like it might be Michael's. Got just enough damage in there with the burns over time. We have to see what Jiri does on the turn here. Jiri just going in on doing damage isn't enough, right? Because Jiri's looking down the barrel of Arthur Weasley plus a bolt, you know, Beetleize. Forgive me, but also the potential of Arthur Weasley plus, you know, insert bigger item here. I mean, we can, if we play another Moon Seed and then Arthur it and then discard it. So we play the Moon Seed, it deals 3 damage and we get the action back. Then we use an action on Arthur to Moon Seed. So it's 3 plus 8, and then we trigger the Moon Seed for another 6. Yeah, that's game. Yeah, oh, Christmas Feast with Action 1. That's great news for Michael. Action 1 is just a neutral play. to get a Galleon and hopefully have a better next turn. Yeah, if you're Michael, you're really hoping that you don't give him a next turn. Right, so you trigger the nut. Oh, we just drew a lot of cards. What's going on there? We definitely did that by accident. We hit like the setup for the game button. Smart. All right, good man. Put them all back on top of the deck, and now we're just gonna draw 4. Well, you know what I mean. We're gonna draw 1, then we're gonna crack this, and then we're gonna draw 4, or total. We'll draw 3 more after this. I think that's a no-brainer. We're going into this turn with 3 actions, and we want to kill our opponent. So the very first thing, unless we drew the win, the very first thing we want to do is use standard book of spells, break it, draw 3 cards, because we win the game off of a moon seed poison. Or an Eel Eyes, right? We also win the game off. So if we have 3 actions right now, we play Eel Eyes, we still have 3 actions. We use an action to... Oh my god, we top decked Eel Eyes. We win. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Perfect. So, you play the Eel Eyes. You see his hand, whatever. It doesn't matter. Then you use an action, get rid of Eel Eyes and Beetle Eyes. And you go get the Bulgeye Potion and puts it into play, right? So, you save an action there. Well, not really, but because you're discarding the 2 things. So, you get it. And then you can Arthur for 10 and then Bulgeye and win the game. So it looks like they're going into game 3. Yeah, game 3 with Michael taking game 2. Absolutely love that. Is that the first loss that we've seen Jiri take this week? The first game that he dropped? Let's see. Let's take a little look in the results. Yeah, that's the first game that Jiri dropped this week was to Michael here. Getting in there with the potions and the poisons. Feeling that high cost damage. Come on. Oh no, what's going on here? Are we just whiffing on lessons? We played, so we drew up to 7, we drew a card from the top deck, but then we played Charms. Then on our next turn, we drew for turn, and we drew with both of our actions. God, are we just totally missing all of our lessons? Must be, right? We must be. Jiri not liking the way that this last game is looking. Michael, meanwhile, Michael is actually just doing exactly what Draco Malfoy wants to do. Lesson into lesson item lesson. We get 2 lessons in there for Jiri. I keep wanting to say Leb and whatever this other guy's Elvis, Leb and Elvis, but that's not, trying to get used to it. Jiri, Michael. Okay, Michael is gonna go ahead and put the Beetle Eyes into play. Top 4 cards go when Beetle Eyes comes in. 4 damage, not bad. And look at this, getting down another charm, another potions, already up to 6. Now Wand Shop is putting him up to 8. Bundaman Ooze, I think you ditch the book here, right? Maybe the Beetle Eyes, but I don't know. That's a tough one. If you ditch the Beetle Eyes, you take 5 damage. So maybe you just ditch the book. You take 2 damage. Oh, no. Wow. We ditched the Beetle Eyes. So we're going to take 5. We want to keep the book. The 6 is very important to us. The ability to draw 3 later could be critical. Plugged my headset and all of my beautiful lo-fi music playing anymore. No. What's rough? I missed it. Sorry. The start he had. Yeah, the start he had was pretty rough. The fact that like we're on 3 lessons and our opponents at the point of the game where they're just hard casting Moonseed poisons is pretty indicative of how far behind we are in the tempo in this game. You hate to see it. Yeah, him missing the lessons. Yeah, it's I was talking a little bit earlier about how people who are playing heavy on the items that provide lessons, or who are leaning into the hard, like the wand shop stuff, is it's like people cut lessons because they figure, oh, I won't need as many lessons, right? I have books. Oh, I have wand shop. Oh, I don't need as many lessons, except for all the things that you would need lessons and lessons only for, aka your first few power, or solving Caught by Snape. All of a sudden, you know, you've got a handful of wand shops, Dragonheart wands, and books, and you realize you can't play any of them because none of them are actually lessons. I'm not saying that I think that's what's happening. Actually, Jiri, of all the decks I've seen tonight playing wand shop, Jiri is the one who seems like he's playing the most appropriate number of lessons. He hasn't, besides this game, hasn't had much issue with them. The standard book of spells gonna go ahead and give us that action back, kick back the refund. We've got cash back on our our Harry Potter cards. What do we do? Is it just book lesson draw? Wow, yeah, we used the 3rd action to draw a card from the deck. Obliviate will do it, dude. I mean, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we obliviate? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We get there. 2, 4, 6, 8. We can cast Obliviate. Get rid of that whole damn hand. It's pretty nice that you've got 2 of those books down. I would use 1 book here. Because if he does hit you with Potions Exam, if you use a book, you basically got like +2 more things that you could pay for Potions Exam with. Whereas if he hits you with a Potions Exam here, you're either going to lose all of your lessons or you're going to be pretty crippled. So we used an action to draw from deck. I don't like that at all. I really don't like that at all. I wish we had used the action to crack a book. We got an Eel Eyes. We played it right away. So he's going to reveal his hand. Yep, it's full of things that aren't actually lessons. 2 wand shops. And then just high-end potions cards. Ugh. So the nice thing here is you're looking at this, you go, okay, I see Titolando. I see Potions Exam. I see another Potions Exam. This guy is going to just wipe my board next turn. So what you would like to do is crack one of these at least. Draw 3 cards. Because it brings your total to... Instead of 10, you'd be at 12, and you'd actually 2 things would survive the double potions exam. I just think that potions exam 1 and 2. Well, I mean, because he can actually get rid of the potions. Sorry, I keep forgetting that potions exam actually has a caveat. If they have a potion lesson, it's garbage. They just, instead of losing 5 cards, they only lose 1. Oh, sorry, it's 3. It's only 3 cards in play. But instead of losing 3 cards, they just lose 1. I'm gonna hit you with Titolando, looks like. Titolando without a creature is just a really bad 3 burn, right? I guess we just got rid of like 1 card from his hand. Oh, potions class. Oh. Say goodbye to Exodia. That's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's you can't really come back from that one. I think that right there is going to be game for Jiri. Let's go see what's going on at the other table. Congratulations to Jiri on that one. I think that it's safe to say that's in the bag. Oh, this is the last game. The other game wrapped up. Parker 2, Sammy 1. Oh, he got there with the trolls, though. I mean, he won... Well, you won 3 games tonight, Sammy. That's not bad. You won half your games. Oh, excuse me. Trolls.deck. You won 50% of your matches. Or 50% of your games, sorry. I guess we could throw this one back up for a second for you guys while we wrap up this week's Wizarding Wars event. Thanks everybody for coming out and playing. We have got we've got Revival. I don't know why it was so hard for me to think of Revival next week, next Tuesday. We had a Revival week that didn't fire last week, unfortunately. So hopefully we get enough Revival people next week. I know it's sometimes, it's tough. Everybody can't be here every week. I totally get it. Oh, all right, cool. I'm glad that it looks like the people from the tournament are congregating at table 1, because then I can go there to wrap up the tournament. I don't have to bother them in the common room. And yeah, it looks like, the Bullgies are not quite enough here. We are hitting him with our own Bullgie potions. 13 cards off the top, and yeah, we've got Potions Class Disaster and Potions Exam sitting here in hand. At this point, Jiri is just drawing cards from the deck until we find the kill card, and I don't think Michael has an out to get him at it. So I think hand/board disruption hasn't been a successful strategy yet, so it's cool to see that's the angle Jiri's going here. I really like this deck. I think that it's very consistent, very straightforward. As long as you let it build up, it is really, really powerful at the top end here. I'd be interested to see what happens when there's a little more counterplay or when there's a little more pressure. This is like a quarterback who just has like all the time in the world to make a throw, and a lot of his guys are wide open. I'd be interested to see what it looks like when people are, basically blitzing, like aggro creature decks, or if people are removing some of his options, a little better coverage on the receivers. He's got the nut, and I think that's just about. Yeah, all in all, Titolando, Potions Class Disaster, not cards we see here a lot. Obliviate. Actually, kind of wild that more than one player had like cards in their deck tonight. I mean, what? There's like 1 Galleon, Most of the stuff's just a 4 of. You know, 4 Bullseye, 4 potions in the exam. Tudolando, Obliviate, I think might be 2 of. Actually, nope, Tudolando looks like a 4 of as well. There is. Bundaman Ooze. Little item hate. Ah, Hannah Abbott! Dude, I haven't seen Hannah Abbott all night, and this card is incredible. Really, really powerful. Really nice to see in this deck here. This guy is dude, he's buying this you know, like the galleon here with like 10 actions. Not really, but you know, we used the Halloween feast, then got it back, then we used our action to play it, but really the galleon isn't gonna matter here. It's the Bullseye. That's all you need. The galleon almost just to put one on the table, just to rub it in, as the Bullseye is going to be the damage there, and that's going to be game, and that's going to be Wizarding Wars number 14, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching this later on YouTube or checking this out, also shout outs to Parker if you're listening to this later. Appreciate you guys. Hope you're enjoying these games of Harry Potter trading card game. Hope you learned something from the commentary, whether you improve your gameplay, improve your you know, your knowledge, or maybe you're just interested in just checking out what this is all about. I hope this has been entertaining for you. We will see you next Tuesday for a revival event. But that's it for us tonight, guys. So we will catch you next time. And thanks for tuning in. Ciao. And remember, tomorrow for Final Fantasy, we will be here 7 o'clock at night for the usual weekly.